Welcome to The Real Game, a podcast by coaches for coaches. I am your host, Matt Philbrick. Welcome back to this episode of The Real Game. As always, I am your host, Matt Philbrick, coming to you from southeastern Pennsylvania, where we're actually kind of gearing up for a bit of a snowstorm, although I was just talking with some of our guests that I'll introduce here in just a minute. I feel like it's going to be a bit of a flop because they always get on and predict like a foot of snow, and, we get all jazzed up about missing school and work, and then the reality settles in that it's probably going to be like 2 inches and it'll end at 9 a.m. So we'll all be back in school tomorrow, but that's okay. There's a lot going on right now in the world of sports, which, we'll probably get to in another episode, but we have, of course, playoff football going on. Everybody is all jazzed up about the Eagles right now. They actually play tonight, I believe. So everybody's excited about that. We have NBA basketball going on. We have college basketball going on, which is March Madness is right around the corner. That'll be here before you know it. We have a lot of high school sports going on, and that's kind of where I want to shift my focus to today is the world of high school sports. And more specifically, I have on a group of fantastic young ladies from the school that I work at. I know I've mentioned in other episodes that I'm the athletic director at a small Christian school in southeastern Pennsylvania called Calvary Baptist School. And I have been actually privileged to witness these young ladies come up through, and we'll get to more of what they've been involved in as they start to talk. But privileged to witness these young ladies come up through most of them middle school into high school and play multiple sports together, win multiple championships in those sports together. And it's just been remarkable to see their progress, to see how they have developed, to see how their coaches have kind of led them along. So, of course, this podcast is about coaching. It's for coaches. So some of the conversation that we have today will be geared around that, but some of it will just be to kind of dig a little deeper into the lives of these young ladies and find out what makes them tick, and just to learn a little bit more about them. So, ladies, it's good to have you on here today. How is everybody doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
Good.
Very good. Very good. So I'm only going to mention your first names because you all are minors, probably not for long, but so we have Sophia, Grace, Genesis, Jenna, and Haven with us today. We're just going to start. I'm going to go on my screen from left to right to make it easy. Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe just in like 30 seconds. Anything you'd like to tell us about yourself. We'll start with you, Sophia.
Hi. I'm Sophia. I've been going to Calvary since I was in preschool, so I've been there a while. I have two older siblings who both went to Calvary. I've been playing volleyball, basketball, and soccer since sixth grade, so for a while.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you've been here, you said, since preschool?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I remember I don't know if you remember me teaching PE or not, but I do remember when you were just a tiny kid, probably in kindergarten or first grade in PE class. So it's been great to see you come up through the ranks there at Calvary and stick with it for so long. So next, Grace, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, I'm Grace.
Hi.
I'm one of four siblings, and I have an older brother and two younger sisters. And I've been at Calvary for 9 years and have played all three sports for 7.
Excellent. And not to make this about your siblings, but you have an older brother that's playing college football, correct? At Ursinus University or Ursinus
Yes,
College?
that's correct.
Yeah. So you have some athleticism in your family. What sport, Grace, do you think you enjoyed the most?
Probably soccer, and I guess that's because of my mom, because she played soccer in college, so she kind of fed me through that system.
Yeah.
But I do love all three a lot.
Are you saying that because you're afraid of your mom, like what she might do to you later if she found out you said something different?
She might come on and listen to this later, so I have to be careful with what I say.
That's a good point. All right, Genesis, what about you?
Hi, as said, I'm Genesis. I also go to Calvary. I've been going there for like 13 or 14 years, so a long time. I have a brother and a sister, and I'm the oldest. So,
Excellent. Excellent. Jenna, how are you today? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good. So I'm Jenna. I've been going to Calvary for 13 years, so since kindergarten. I have 3 younger sisters who all go to Calvary. I played soccer for a little while from 5th to 9th grade, and then I played volleyball and basketball from 6th through 12th grade.
Awesome. So recently then you said you stopped playing soccer in 9th grade, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. All right. Haven, what about you?
Yeah, so my name's Haven. I'm a senior at Calvary Baptist School also. I play volleyball and soccer now, and I used to play basketball, but I stopped in 11th grade. I have 3 younger siblings, a sister and 2 brothers, and I've been attending Calvary since I was in 7th grade. So this is my 6th year.
Fantastic. Fantastic. All right. Very good. So now that we've gotten to know a little bit about each of you, let's kind of dig in with some of the questions that I sent you guys ahead of time. So let's start with Grace. We'll start with you. How important for you personally and for the program success here at Calvary is it that you played together as a unit with these other girls for 4 years? And I understand, you haven't all 5 played all 3 sports together, but there's probably been some overlap there where you each played all the sports together. How important that has been for you, and how important do you think it is for the success of the program?
Yeah, I mean, like, as you said, we haven't all played all sports at all times, but like it's really been like maybe 1 or 2 years where someone hasn't played one sport. Like it really has been very consistent since at least middle school through most of high school. But I think it has been very vital to our success because like knowing your teammates for that amount of time like allows you to understand each other's weaknesses and then like highlight each other's strong suits like throughout each sport. And then it like helps you to develop a whole nother level of play because you begin to like start sensing what people are going to do on the court and on the field. Like things that like, if I just met someone, I wouldn't know that they're going to do a backdoor at this point in basketball or try to hit this type of hit in volleyball. Like it just makes your moves more unpredictable for the other team and harder to defend and like score against. But then it also just like helps each other like just create like I feel like a whole nother level of like excellent play instead of just throwing girls together on a court and playing from there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. That's a great answer. Definitely that familiarity breeds success when you, like you said, to your point, when you get to know what that other person is going to do before they even do it, it becomes great for you and extremely difficult for the other team to know and predict what you're going to do and when. So that's a great answer. Jenna, can you weigh in on that a little bit?
Yeah, so pretty much what Grace said. I mean, like playing together for so long, we've definitely built such a strong team chemistry. And I think that really allows us to thrive. And I think, honestly, getting to know each other for these, like, however many years we've been playing together, I think that really helps us become more team focused on the court and on the field. Instead of, thinking about yourself, you're thinking about, I've been doing this with these people for this long. You're really team focused in achieving your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Genesis, if we focus on the same question a little bit, how do you think Calvary has benefited from all of you sticking together for this amount of time?
Well, I think that it definitely helped, like with our coaches and all that stuff. They got to know us and know our strengths and our weaknesses. And we were able to gradually work at those things and like, eventually like kind of work out all of those kinks and stuff so that we can work together as a team and ultimately like accomplish the goal. Yeah.
Nope, I completely agree. It's a great answer from all 3 of you. Let's move over to Haven. Are you awake, Haven?
Yes.
All right, very good. So you guys have pretty much had the same coaches throughout your high school years. So the same there maybe has been a little transition there in soccer. But for sure, for like the last 3 years there, for volleyball, you probably had the same coaches. You had the same coach when you played basketball. How important do you think consistency in coaching was for you for those different sports?
Yeah, so I think honestly consistent and like with coaches and how they coach is honestly like very helpful and important because you know how they coach and like they know how you play. And so you can kind of create that understanding for each other, I guess you could say.
Right.
And they've seen you long enough to know like what you are capable of and know when you're giving your all and when you aren't. And I feel like they just can almost more so see a potential in you that you may not even be able to see in yourself when they've coached you for that long. And
Right.
it really can just create a really good bond, I feel like, between the coach and the player of just having that time of like when you were young and started and now when you're older playing.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. And I think that along that same line, it also helps. You mentioned the coach getting to know the players and what to expect. It also helps the players get to know the coaches and what to expect from them. It's hard. It's really hard, I think, for athletes when they have a different coach every couple of years, because the athletes just don't. They acclimate to one coach and then that changes. They have to acclimate to another coach and maybe a different system and how things are done. So that's a really good answer. Sophia, why don't you weigh in on that a little bit? How important do you think for you it was to have consistency in coaching throughout your high school years?
Yeah, I think it's been really good to have that privilege because not only on like a coaching level, but you also have like a personal connection from the athlete to the coach that can really be helpful in like weighing in with like team chemistry and their coaching style and like what they're gonna want and also like you can build upon concepts like different plays and different like aspects of that can really be helpful when you know each other and have that like relationship for a couple years.
Right. No, that's great. That's a great point. And even as an outsider looking in, like for myself, seeing you guys play from year to year, I can almost predict certain things because you do have the same coaches and you are the same group together. The style's the same. Obviously, there are certain little nuances or things that change from year to year, maybe some new plays or this and that. But overall, the philosophy is pretty much the same. So that's a great answer from you guys. Obviously, practice is huge and hugely important to an athlete's success. Were you pretty self-motivated to practice, or did you feel pushed in a good way by your coaches to keep improving? And we'll start with Jenna.
I feel like the encouragement and belief in our coaches that they instilled in us, that they instilled in me, like I know that motivated me to practice. Like I know that my coach wanted me to get better. I know they knew, they believed in me. And so they saw that even before I did, just like Haven had said earlier. I really loved going to the optional open gyms, like during the summer and especially on Saturdays during the school year.
Yep.
I know we had that for volleyball, for basketball. Personally, Coach Hampton really put a lot of time towards me and each of us individually, which I know has made a difference in the way we play. And I enjoy doing like one-on-one shoot-arounds with him. That's really improved my shot. So just, a specific example.
Excellent. Grace, back to you. What about you?
I definitely agree with Jenna. Like open gyms and everything like that has definitely helped. I would say I'm like kind of half and half. I feel like I'm a pretty self-motivated person and I love sports. So like I already want to get so much better at them, but like that motivation from coaches definitely helps on days like I don't usually have a problem getting motivated to do soccer and volleyball because the weather's nice. Like it's usually summery, like warm weather. But sometimes basketball is hard when you have like midterms and like long night practices and really cold weather. Yep. But our coaches definitely like give us like some incentive. Like if they know that we're having like a really bad week of like test after test, he's like, hey, if we can finish like 10 minutes early and end with like knockout, or like even something small like that. It's just like, okay, like I can get through this practice. And I always love seeing the reward after a good practice because it's just so like, I'm glad I came. Like, I'm very glad our coaches and also our teammates encouraged us to keep going with it.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to ask all five of you to answer the next question. So if you can be thinking of something, if you could pick one memory to relive because it was so awesome, what would it be? So I'm going to leave the door wide open on that. It can be anything. I don't want to put anything in your mind that isn't already there. But Sophia, we'll start with you. one memory to relive because it was so awesome, what would it be?
I feel like my answer's got to be winning the basketball championship last year.
Okay.
I felt like every game that we had won, like leading up to that moment, I just felt like we worked really hard and it just felt very like rewarding in the end.
Sure, sure. Yeah, no, that was an awesome time. Um, I know we were all very proud of you guys and the work that you had put in to get to that point. And in a minute, we'll talk maybe about this season and what's happening, but we'll let everybody else answer this question first. So, Grace, why don't you go next?
I would probably have to say when I was in 10th grade, we played Salem in soccer and we beat them in the semis 3-0. Something about that
Nice.
game, like I just always go back to because the weather was just so beautiful. And like that is honestly like the first time that I feel like our soccer team really started seeing success because in basketball, we had won middle school championships. Volleyball, we had at least gone to the championships in middle school and high school. But yeah, that was definitely like a turnaround for our soccer program, I think. And yeah, that was just a really great team and a really great year of playing.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Do you remember where that game was? Was it here or was it in Salem?
That was at Salem. And then we went to Bucks for the championship that week, that year.
Fantastic. All right, Genesis, what about you?
I would have to say, like, this isn't really specific, but generally overall, like, playing in a big crowd, like across all three sports, I love it. Like playing on homecomings or even Fall Fest, like it's just the energy and the vibe is just so fun, and it just makes me really want to play.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. And I know it's fun for athletes to play in that environment. I think it's just as fun for coaches to coach in that environment. Last year's basketball championships, the fact that we got to host that, and for you guys to be able to win that at home in front of your home crowd, the place was packed and loud, and that must have been awesome for you.
Yeah, it was so fun. So much like energy.
Yeah, no doubt. I was commenting to somebody actually just the other night from senior night that there was a lot of energy there, and that it was kind of reminiscent of that championship day that we had. So that definitely was a lot of fun and a great memory for a lot of people. Jenna, what about you?
I mean, I'd have to agree with all of those, obviously. But I think our first championship we won was definitely memorable. Like, I just remember feeling like it was kind of like the first big moment, I think, for me, of like really encouragement and really like seeing how far we can go in the future.
Yeah.
Knowing that we've, I think it was like 8th grade. Like we got to that point and like we already have so much to go ahead of us. I think that was really encouraging.
Awesome. Yep. And then Haven, what about you?
Yeah, this question's hard because there are so many, like playing so many sports and having so many games, like there's so many good moments.
Right.
But I would have to say probably just like maybe not necessarily the whole game, but when we took a set from Bucks in their home gym, I feel like that always just felt like amazing because it gives you a hope that's like, okay, we can do this. Like we already took one from them, like we can win this thing. And I feel like I just remember our team like really comes together at those points and really just like there's just that bond there that really just connects and you're like, okay, we can do this. And I feel like those are just cool moments.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome. Those feelings never go away. Like those memories, you're always going to have those, and they're always going to be special times that you can point back to in high school, or maybe you go on to college and play and form some of the same memories there. You'll always look back on those as special times. So all great answers from each one of you. Let's talk about coaching styles for a minute. Every coach has their style of coaching. Coach Hampton coaches a certain way. Your soccer coaches, your volleyball coaches, Coach Murray, Coach Leader, they all coach differently. I probably coach different than any of them do. Some are more passive on the sidelines. Some, are more interactive in the game. How does that affect you as a player? Do you kind of ride their emotions as a player, or do you just kind of focus on yours and channel your emotions when you have to? And we'll start with Haven and work our way backwards on this one.
Yeah. So I feel like it's kind of both, but I feel like especially when our coaches like actually get emotional, and you can just like see in their eyes that they really believe in you, and that there's a level of like belief in yourself that comes with it. And I feel like that really motivates me to give my all and leave it on the field or court, like whichever sport we're playing, just because when you see that person believe that much in you and know you can do it, and they've had experience with themselves because they're coaching, of course, I feel like that already gives me, like, even if I've already motivated, like even more motivation to know that like someone else believes in me, I can believe in myself even more. And so, yeah.
That's great. That's a great answer. There's a fine line to walk as a coach. When you are encouraging your athletes so that they can dig within themselves and believe in themselves that, hey, I'm not doing this to get on your case. I'm not doing this to yell at you, or I'm doing this because I know you have it in you. And, so to be able to pass that down to your athletes to just to get them to believe in themselves and that they're on the court, they're on the field for a reason. If you didn't believe in them, if you didn't have faith in them, then they wouldn't be there. So that's a great answer. Jenna, what about you?
I think having that personal relationship with a coach really, really motivates you through the sport as well. So like they know, they want to make us better players on the court, but they also want to make us better people.
Sure.
So like having a coach that builds me up and believes in me and motivates me to keep improving, and like seeing how much passion they have for the game, it honestly radiates into how we as a team learn to love the game too.
Sure. Yep. No, that's a great answer. And I think that all of your coaches here have done a good job at, ultimately our goal is to model Christ, right? So we want to model Christ in order to pass that down to you guys as players. I think all of your coaches have done a fantastic job of doing that in different ways. I mean, there were times when Christ was less emotional. There were times when he was very emotional, and emotion's not a bad thing. But picking and choosing, those situations, but always trying to remember as a coach that it's important for us to model Christ to our players, so that you guys can then take that and apply it to your own lives and hopefully benefit from that in your futures. So that's a great answer. Genesis, what about you?
Well, I would say, like you said, like all the coaches have different styles, so it kind of affects it in different ways. But like with Mr. Hampton, like I love getting like texts from him after a game saying, like you did well, you did your best, and all this other stuff. I feel like it really can just encourage you even when you have a bad game. Or like Coach Murray, like our volleyball coach, like I love when she cheers for you and really gets excited with you, because it makes you feel like, yeah, I just did that. But I mean, it's kind of different for soccer for me a little bit, because my dad is one of the coaches. Yeah. So sometimes the coaching doesn't necessarily stop on the field, but like even after like being able to connect, and he kind of like, finishes the coaching, and I understand more where he's coming from, and like is able to give like those fatherly words of advice. Like I just feel like it helps all around, and it keeps you wanting to keep playing. Yeah,
definitely. Grace?
I personally am like a person who enjoys like direct instructions when I play. So the emotion is like, I definitely like enjoy seeing like when everyone's like excited and like happy, like that is encouraging. But I find it even more effective like when coaches kind of give you like a stare or something, and they're like, they look at you and they're like, come on, like, you're being lazy or something. Like that really like motivates me, because it's like, it's not fear, but it's like, I know it's time to get serious. And like each coach kind of has a different way of doing it. And I also would agree with Genesis that like, since my mom's the coach, soccer is a little bit different, but it's almost sometimes helpful to have her on the court or the field, because she has watched the entire game, and I can like explain like, I'm frustrated because this play went this way when it should have been this, and she was there to see, and she's like, yeah, well, didn't you see this happen instead? And she can kind of like point out and help me remember what was happening during that game and stuff like that.
Right. And you can kind of tap into that at any point in time instead of just during the game, or so you might forget. So that's good. No, that's a good point. Sophia, what about you?
For me, like coaches have always had like I thought it's good to have like a good personal connection. And I feel like having that outside of sports has always been like really motivating for me because it makes me feel like I don't know, like it's been very genuine when they
Hmm.
get like excited or like when something goes right and it's just very exciting and it's so genuine that they're like actually like proud of what I can accomplish or like what the team can accomplish and it just feels um yeah really like pushing of that they like believe in me, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a great answer. I think that you and Haven both kind of mentioned the personal connection that you have with coaches, and I think that that's super important. And I think that when you get praised from a coach that you have a personal connection with, it really makes you feel like it's about you and it's not self-serving for a coach that, or maybe you're just winning the game, or maybe what you did is going to, help you win the game or whatever. But because there's a relationship there, they're genuinely proud of you and happy for you and your accomplishment. So that's a very good answer. I appreciate that. Moving forward quickly here as we start to kind of wrap things up. Um, can you guys highlight, or can you girls, excuse me, highlight any rituals or traditions that you developed over the years that you've played together? And we'll just ask a couple of you. Maybe Jenna, we'll start with you.
So the first one that came to mind, it's like pretty small, but like for volleyball, we've always, as long as I can remember, put like ribbons in our shoes before like the season. So, and each year we've like picked a different color. So like that was like a fun team thing for me. And then another one would be like blasting music on the way to games in the van or in the car. Always got me like pumped up and excited.
Yeah, awesome. Haven, what about you?
Yeah, so also for volleyball, I feel like we would always do this cheer. It was pump, pump, pump it up when we were in middle school, but now in high school we do CCC to the B, and we would always just get in a circle and like jump up and down and chant it. And I feel like that always just got us like hyped up and ready for the game.
Yep.
And then also just like we used to do this. We didn't really do it as often, but just prayer partners or praying before the game with each other. Like really, I feel like just gave like a more calm moment, but just a nice way to remember that we're ultimately doing this for God.
Yeah.
And that's why we're doing it. So yeah, I really like those things that we did.
That's fantastic. What about you, Grace?
For volleyball, I enjoyed when we did Secret Sisters because especially when we did it with like younger kids, I always thought that was really fun because we got to like motivate them and like, hey, you might only be in ninth grade and have never played volleyball in your life, but like I'm here watching and waiting and cheering for you during your junior varsity game and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's always nice when you get a note too saying like great blocks last game or whatever. Like I think that's like a great way to team build, at least for volleyball.
Right. Good. Great answers. As you reflect on your journey, whether it's your, basketball, soccer, volleyball, whatever, that I'm referring more so your team journey together as you girls have stayed together. What do you think is one or two keys to a successful team dynamic? And Sophia, we'll start with you.
I think the fact that we're all like close outside of sports and we're all like really great friends has been very helpful bringing that into like a team because it helps like our team chemistry and just the positive like team culture that we have. And we know each other like really well and like we can help each other and benefit each other from that.
Very good. Very good. Jenna, what about you?
I'd have to have the same answer, honestly. Like being friends off the court is such a helpful thing to, playing better on the court because, when you make a pass and they get a shot, you're happy for them as a player, but you're also happy for them as your friend. Like,
right.
Did that.
Yeah, no, that's great. You guys look so, if I could just take a minute to compliment you guys, you look so, I don't know what the word is, relaxed with each other and natural with each other when you play. And I think your answers kind of reflect that. So That's really good. Really good that you guys brought that up. And then Genesis, what do you think?
This is kind of going off of what they were saying, but in like kind of a different way. Like I would say it's so important to be able to set aside things that do happen outside or during school because, you know, we're all females. Sometimes there's disagreements and we're so lucky that we as a friend group are so tight and normally that doesn't happen.
Yep.
But even looking down and like other grades or overall, like it's so important that you set aside things that happen during school and are able to just focus on the game.
That's great. That's great. Let me see, Grace, what advice based on your own experience can you give to maybe some younger girls or younger guys coming up through that are just starting? Maybe they're just in middle school. What is maybe one or two bits of advice that you would give to them?
I would probably say keep practicing even when it seems like you have a lot of schoolwork and stuff. Like I remember last year during 11th grade, I had like a lot of like tougher classes and like homework was getting a lot. And I almost wanted to quit basketball because it seemed like it was just gonna be so much during the winter. And I didn't. And I'm so glad that I stuck with it because now I feel like my skill is just like I can't imagine what type of a player I would be if I hadn't have played last year. So I think keeping consistency that way and also like reminding your friends and your teammates, like everything is for Christ. Like, I think that's so important in like quenching any like drama that happens between the team. Like you're there to play that sport and you're doing it for your teammates, your coach, and for Christ. And it's not all about you.
Yeah, no, that's a good reminder. It's a good reminder of something I've tried to emphasize to my guys this year we're in the middle of what I would consider to be a pretty tough season. Is putting team first. Put team first. It's not about you. It's not about yourself. That's a great reminder from you. Haven, what about you? Is there any bit of advice you would give to some young athletes who are just starting out?
Yeah, this might sound cliche, but probably just to like not be afraid to mess up, because that stuff happens and to focus on encouraging your team, like Hannah Grace was saying, and growing the dynamic of those relationships on and off the court. Because one person like can't do it all. Like it's literally a team sport. And so having that bond is so important. And like also just not getting in your head, because that's definitely something I struggle with. Yep. And like, it's just important to reset your brain and to constantly just know like mistakes happen and everyone does them and no one really cares. Like no one remembers them really. So yeah, just honestly, most of the sports like is a mind game anyway, like is what our coaches like to tell us. And so I feel like it's just important to remember to have that good mindset and not to care when you mess up. I feel like it's just some advice I would say, but yeah.
Yeah. And I think you hit on something hugely important there as an athlete, to remember that mistakes are going to happen in sports. And as coaches, we need to remember that when we tell our athletes to play, just to go out and be confident and play, with confidence, that means not being afraid to make mistakes. Like just go and play and do your best and understand that you're going to make a mistake and just move on from it. So that's a great answer. Sophia, what about you?
Something I would say is to not compare yourself to others, because that is definitely something I struggle with. Like someone will do something and be like, oh, I wish I could do that. But realizing that different people have their own skill set and like if you can't do something that someone else can do, like you can still help each other with your skills. They can like complement each other. So just being able to grow in what you can do and like focus on your own abilities and not care to compare yourself to what other people can do.
No, that's a great answer. That's a great answer. It's easy to fall into that trap sometimes, but that's a good reminder. To wrap things up here, you guys are in the middle of a pretty good basketball season. You're defending ACCAC champions. You're looking to repeat this year. How do you feel about the possibility of a repeat? And do you think that's something that you guys are going to be able to accomplish? Jenna, we'll start with you.
I think that I can definitely see that in our future. I mean, obviously, I hope that. But I think on the way the season's been going and, seeing improvement in every practice, every game, I really think that we can push through and take a win for this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Genesis, what about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think that we can get there as long as we don't get comfortable and don't like think that we have everything in the bag, because we obviously don't. We all have bad games and stuff. Just as long as we keep pushing through, I think that we can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Grace, what do you think now? Just, I will say this, the game you had on Friday with Bethlehem was maybe it was, a little closer than it had to be, but it was a good game. So there's definitely some competition out there that's preparing for you guys. What do you think about your chances, Grace?
Yeah, I definitely know our team can get there. It is really just about our mental game. Like, I feel like that game that we had against Bethlehem they were definitely playing strong, but I think we could have brought out a little bit more than we had in the first half. And the way that we had played the second half to make up for that deficit was really encouraging, because it showed that we can play like that an entire game. Our coach always says we have to connect each quarter and play well all 4 quarters instead of the first 3, the last 3. So yeah, I definitely think we can get a win this year.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think that a lot of people are cheering you guys on and have high expectations for you guys. And so we'll see what happens, and hopefully it'll all play out the way we think it's going to. But I am going to wrap things up here today. I appreciate you ladies for coming on. Thank you for your input in a variety of different topics here, and appreciate everything you've done at Calvary and for Calvary, and just keep up the great work. I hope you've all enjoyed this episode of The Real Game. It's great to be back on again after taking a couple weeks off. I'm going to leave you today with this quote from Henry Ford, and the quote is this: "Coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success." So good luck, coaches, and coach on.